Hello, we're going to do some mental strategies for addition to get our brains warmed up today, but a bit later on in this lesson you probably would be best if you've got a calculator. Okay, so remember that can be the calculator on your phone or any other device, or it can be an actual calculator, it doesn't matter. So anyway, you're not having it just yet, please, because we want to look at mental strategies for addition. So we've looked at this in class before a little bit, and we've talked about what strategies we use. So this kind of thing, when we're talking about it, it's difficult for me as a teacher because I would ask this question and then I would normally let you get your answers and then ask some of you how you did that. You know, you would put your hand up, tell me how you did it, and we would write that down. So I don't have that ability at the moment, unfortunately. So being a teacher when you don't have any pupils in front of you, it's pretty rotten, to be honest. I'd far rather be in the classroom. So I'm just going to have to sort of make up what strategies some of you might be using. Okay, so if I asked you to work out 26, add 53, then you would all, without a calculator, be able to reach the answer. So take a moment. Right, I'm hoping you've all managed to get 79 as your answer there. Okay, so I expect some of you used the strategy that 20 add 50 is 70, and that 6 add 3 is 9, and then you put those two together in your head. Okay, so that's probably one that some of you used. Okay, another strategy would be to do it the other way round. So to look at the 6 and the 3 and know that that's 9, and then the 2 and the 5 make 7, or the 20 and the 50 make 70, whichever way you look at it, and put those two together and get 79. So some of you have probably done that. Okay, some of you might have started with the bigger number, for example, start with 53 and add 20 and then added 6. So that would give you 73, add 6 is 79. So that might be the way that some of you did it. Start with a big number, add the tens from the smaller number, and then add the units. Or you might have done that a slightly different way around. You might have started with the bigger number and added the units from the smaller number to get 59, and then added the tens to get 79. All these are perfectly valid strategies. Okay, you might have done it the same as one of these two ways, but starting with the 26. So 26 add 50 and then add 3, or 26 add 3 and then add 50. So these are all perfectly valid ways of adding up. So we're going to look at one more example just now, and this time we're going to be, the units mean we're going to go across 10. Okay, so oops, that is not what I meant to do. So we'll get rid of all this. All right, so this time our question is going to be 37 add 46. Okay, take a moment, use a strategy, work that out in your head. Okay, pause it if you've still not got there and restart it when you've got your answer. Okay, so when we work that out, it's going to give us 83. Okay, I hope that's where you arrived at. So let's look at those strategies that we considered before and see if they still work when we need to go across tens. Okay, so we looked at, first of all, 30 add 40, and then 7 add 6, and combining them. So that gives us 70, that gives us 13, and when you add them up, you get 83. So that was one strategy that we looked at that still works. Okay, so a point that I want to make about strategies is they've got to work. Okay, if what you're doing doesn't work, it's not a strategy. Okay, so let's look at another one where we do the units first. So the 7 and the 6, and then the 30 and the 40, and then add them up to give you your 83. Okay, so the point of these is they're all decent strategies and they all lead to the same answer. Okay, remember one of the other strategies that we looked at was we start with the bigger number and add the tens. Oops, sorry, I meant 46 there. So start with the bigger number and then add the tens from the smaller number. So that would be 30. And then add the units from the smaller number. Okay, so that's 46 add 30. That'll give us 76. And then count on 7 from 76. And that'll take us to 83. Some of you will find that easier to use a similar strategy, but in the other order. So start with the bigger number and add the units first. So add the 7 and then add the tens. So 46 add 7 is 53 and 53 add 30 is 83. Okay, so those strategies all work. All right, and the one that I use is sort of combinations of those, but what I do is when I'm working it out, I have a quick look at the units. If they're going to take me over 10, then I just do 3 add 4 add 1. So I know that it's going to start with an 8. Okay, then I add these units together. 7 and 6 make 13. I've already used the 1 to make the 8. Oops, so I know that I've just got a 3 to go there. Okay, so I just look at that and go 3 add 4 add 1 is 8, and then 7 and 6 is 13, so that must be a 3. So you'll all have your own slightly different strategies that you might be using. You also, some of you might have been rounding up and then subtracting. Just let me quickly look at that with you. You might have rounded the 37 up to a 40 and the 46 up to a 50. So if you round up to the nearest 10, that gives you 90. But then to make this into 40, you added 3. And to make that into 50, you'd added 4. So altogether, we've got 7 extra that we don't need. So you'd have to take that off to get your 83. Okay, that might be something that some of you do, particularly when your units are 8s and 9s. Okay, anyway, I want you to have a practice of that kind of thing. Do those at home. You can do them with somebody else in the house. Get them to give you 2-digit numbers and you try and add them up in your head. It's a lot easier if you can see the numbers, so get them to write them down first. Okay, then move on to them saying the numbers out loud but not writing them down. That's a lot more difficult because you're having to hold all that information in your head. Okay, righto, let's get on to today's lesson, which is continuing with our work on best buys. So looking at the Asda website, I found this earlier and I thought, which is the best deal? So you just take a moment to have a look at that. Look at how much is in each container. Look at how many washes you get. And then look at the price. That one's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? That this one gives you 54 washes and costs £7. This one gives you 38 washes and costs £7. So just a little illustration here that when you are in a shop and there's different sizes, you should look at the prices of the different sizes, because effectively all those extra ones are free, that extra 16. Okay? Right, so let's look at ones where it's not that obvious. We'll start off with a nice straightforward one. Carrots. Okay, so you need to be looking at the amount that's contained in the pack and the price. Okay, so we've got 1 kilogram here, and that costs 55p. We've got 500 grams here, which costs 33p. So we don't need to do too much working out here. We need to remember that a kilogram is 1,000 grams and that 1,000 grams is 2 times 500 grams. So if we were to double the amount in this pack, that would give us a kilogram. And if we double the price here, that would give us 66 pence per kilogram. And we can write stroke kilogram there. So we can see that the bigger pack of carrots is better value, because that's 55 pence a kilo, than the smaller pack, the 500 gram pack, because effectively that works out at 66 pence a kilo. However, interestingly, that these are both packs of carrots. They are both Asda's Growers Selection carrots. They are identical carrots, just in a smaller package. So how come that one's got 5 days typical life and that one's got 6 days typical life? I'm not sure about that. Okay, but when you're considering the size of packet to buy, if it tells you that this one is going to be around for about 5 days before they go a bit soft and bendy, and that one is around for 6 days, then you need to think about it. If you're going to take a week or more to get through a pack of carrots, then maybe if you don't need the kilogram, maybe you'd be better off buying the smaller pack. Anyway, all to be thought about. So, calculator time. What we're going to look at just now, we're not going to look at this bit because that's a different thing. That was just in the middle of that page. So, we're going to look at Fairy Non-Bio pods. Okay, so each one, so these are the little capsules that you get for washing clothes and things. So in the first pack, there are 25 of these little pods in the pack. In this one, there are 36, and in this one, there are 15. So we've got our prices here as well. Okay, I've cut the bit off the bottom that tells you the price comparisons because I wanted to work it out. So if we think about the numbers 25, 36 and 15, there isn't an easy comparison between those. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a way that you can always do this using a calculator. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at the price per capsule, okay, or per pod. All right, so the way that we do that is, if we're looking at the first example here, it costs £5 and that's for 25. So if we take our £5 and divide it by 25, that will give us the price for one of our pods. Okay, so we can start with a calculator just now, it's fine. So £5 divided by 25, you get, now the answer on your calculator comes up as 0.2. Okay, now we know, remember, that money has 2 decimal places, so we stick on an extra 0, and that's pounds because we started with pounds. Okay, if we'd started with pence, our answer would be in pence. So this price for one of these little pods, if you buy the 25 pack, is 20 pence per pod. Okay, let's look at the 36 pack now. So we start with the price, our £8.50, and we're going to divide that by the number of pods in the pack, so that's 36. And we're going to use the calculator to do that. Remember, our answer is in pounds and we need 2 decimal places. Okay, so if we do £8.50 divided by 36, we get lots of decimal places this time, but remember, money's only got 2 decimal places, so 0.2. What comes up on the calculator is 0.2361111, right? So we need the 0 point and we want 2 decimal places here. Okay, so we need to look at our rounding like we thought about last week. So the 3 either stays as a 3 or it moves up to a 4, and it's the 6 that tells us. So because 6 is in the 5 and above list, it means we move the 3 up to a 4. Okay, so that means that. Okay, so what we find there is that if we buy the 36 pack, then each capsule costs us 24 pence, which is interesting because usually a bigger pack is better value, but that's not the case here. Okay, so we're going to look at the last one, and we're going to take our price of £4 and we're going to divide that by 15. Okay, so again, use the calculator. £4 divided by 15, what it tells you this time is 0.266666, and it might have a 7 at the end, or it might just keep going with 6s depending on what your calculator tells you. Okay, so our price here is, now remember, money's got to have 2 decimal places, so we've got to cut it off there. So it's either 0.26 or 0.27, and remember that 6 tells you to move it up to a 7. Okay, so what we've got now, our 3 prices are, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to get a highlighter. There we go. So we've got 20 pence a capsule, 24 pence for a capsule, or 27 pence for a capsule. So actually, the middle-sized pack, the 25 pack, is the one that is the best value. Okay, so if you wanted more, it would actually be better value to buy more of this size of pack than it would be to choose this pack here. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because usually the bigger the pack, the better the value, but it just shows you need to work that out. Okay, I'm going to look at one more today. And we've got tea bags. Tetley tea. Right, so we're going to use the same sort of method as we looked at for the last question, because we've got 40 pack, 80 pack, 160 pack, 240 pack and 420 pack. I've put them all in order. So you would possibly expect that the biggest pack is the best value. So we're going to check that, right? We're assuming that we've got room in our cupboards to put whatever size pack we think is best value, okay? Tea bags hang around for ages. It's not like we need to worry about a best before date with them. So let's, for each one, work out the price per tea bag. So we're going to do it in the same way as we did with the last one, okay? So remember, our washing pods were in the 20 odd pences each. Tea bags are going to be cheaper than that. Okay, so let's start with the first one then. We're going to do one, no, we're not going to do it with the highlighter, we're going to do a pen. We're going to do £1.39, I'm going to use a blue one. £1.39, and we're going to divide that by 40, because there's 40 in that pack. Okay, and when we do that on the calculator, we get, now the number it says is 0.03475. Okay, now remember, we only need 2 decimal places for money, so we're going to cut off after 2 decimal places. So it's either 0.03 or 0.04, and that 4 tells us to leave the 3 as it is, doesn't it? So that's 0.03. So that's 3 pence per tea bag for the first one. Okay, for the second one, we're going to do £2.65 divided by 80 to get the price per tea bag. Okay, so this time, again on your calculator, £2.65 divided by 80. And this time we get 0.033125. And if we round that to 2 decimal places again like before, we have to cut off after 2 decimal places. So that 3 tells us to leave this 3 as it is. So that again, look, that one tells you that the price per tea bag is also 3 pence. Okay, when we've rounded it to the nearest penny. Let's look at the next one then. So same process, £3.30 this time, divided by 160. Okay, so on the calculator, £3.30 divided by 160 gives you 0.020625. So when we look at our rounding to 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places is there. So that 2 either stays as a 2 or it moves up to a 3. And the 0 tells us to leave it as a 2, doesn't it? So that's 0.02. So those tea bags are 2 pence per bag when you buy it in that size of pack. Now, we're expecting great things from this next one because apart from anything else, look at the prices. Okay, we've got this 160 pack here was £3.30. This 240 pack is, look, it's on rollback for £3. So we know that this one's going to be cheaper than that one because look, it costs less and there's more in it. So this one is going to look like good value anyway to start with. So bear that in mind, let's work it out. So we're going to do £3 divided by 240 this time. Okay, so when we work that out on a calculator, £3 divided by 240, we get 0.0125. So when we round that to 2 decimal places, we can see that the 1 either stays as a 1 or it moves up to a 2, but that 2 tells us to leave it as a 1. So the price per tea bag for this one is 1 pence. Okay, and then let's have a look at the last one. We've got £7 divided by, looks a really big pack this time, 420. So when we work that out, we get 0.0166, loads of 6s and possibly a 7 at the end. Or it might keep going in 6s depending on what your calculator tells you. Okay, so we're rounding to 2 decimal places. So it's either 0.01 or it's 0.02, and that 6 tells us to move the 1 up to a 2. Okay, so to the nearest penny, those tea bags cost 2 pence each. Okay, so looking across all the prices there that we've got 3 pence a tea bag, 3 pence per tea bag, 2 pence per tea bag, 1 pence per tea bag, and 2 pence per tea bag. So the best value one is this first, this one here, this one, with 240 pack, where the tea bags work out at 1 pence each. Now you might think, well, the difference between 1 pence and 3 pence per bag, well, that's only 2 pence per cup of tea. But if you're buying lots of tea bags because you drink lots of cups of tea, then those 2 pences all add up over time, don't they? So this one, the 240 pack, is definitely better value than the than all the others. Okay, right. So that's us done for today, looking at comparing prices to find best value. So the work that I'm going to give you to do by yourselves today is going to be on finding prices so you can compare. So it might be price per packet or price per one or price per tea bag or sweet or whatever it is. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow and then we'll be going over all the work that we've done this week on buying high value items through hire purchase and best buys and best value. Okay, see you later.